With a balance patch coming this week, War, Nature, and Death all getting nerfs, will this Tempo Magic deck be able to take you to the top of the ladder? Let's dive in and take a look. Tempo Magic has been around for a while now, and it's been doing decently at the top of the ladder. It's a very strong deck. That being said, with a couple balance changes coming this week, this deck is going to get even stronger. So let's take a look and see what it does, how it wins, what's our goal here. So basically, we're trying to do as much face damage as possible with some big spells like Worm Breath, and especially Monolith of the Storms. This card is disgusting. Monolith has 10 orders, so it's impossible to just attack it. You would need spells to deal with it, and even if you have spells, it has 5 health, so it's very difficult to deal with. And after you play a spell, this creature gets +2 strength, and its ability is deal damage to an enemy character equal to this creature's strength, then set this creature's strength to 0. So that means turn 1, you play it. Turn 2, you can do a minimum of 5. But then you also have spells in your hand to continuously buff the strength. One thing that you can do, for instance, against light, so it doesn't get lights levied, is you can attack for 5, then play 2 spells, leave it at 4. The next turn you can deal 4 damage, play 2 more spells, get it back to 4 so it can't get lights levied. And ultimately, you can just continuously do damage with this thing. And if it's close to the end of the game, you can use it just to go straight to the face for typically 7, 9, 11 damage. You can do a lot of damage. And it's a legendary, right? So you can only run 1 copy in your deck. And you might think, well, you might not get it that often. But the other point of this deck is to draw as many cards as humanly possible. So we have all kinds of card draw in this deck. We've got Palace's Wand, which after you play a magic card, give +1 durability to this relic. And then you can draw a card and give -3 durability to the relic. So you can equip this turn 1 if possible, and then every single time you play magic cards, which is pretty much everything in this entire deck except for Pyramid Wardens. If you don't have Pyramid Wardens, you can use Skeleton Heavies instead. But basically, that means you're going to be constantly buffing the relic, and then you can draw almost every single turn. We've got Voldemort. He is, every time you play a spell, +1 strength. At the end of your turn, if it has 3 strength or more, set it to 1 strength, draw a card. So he has 2 strength to start. So if you play Voldemort and then you immediately play a spell, at the end of your turn, you're going to get to draw an extra card. All-Seeing Spires, we've seen these before in other decks. They're just a great card in Ramp Magic. They're a good card in Tempo Magic because at the start of your turn, you get to foresee, and at the end of your turn, you get to draw a card. At worst, if your opponent immediately kills this, it's a 3-mana draw 1, which obviously is not great, but that's the floor. And then the upside is that this thing lives for many, many turns and you draw many, many cards. Miraculous Familiar can generate you a random spell. So that's another way to gain cards with this deck. It's also Blessed. Blessing gives you Favor. Favor gets you cards. So that's another way. The Shadow Scryers here, they are a foresee 1 every single turn. So this allows you to cycle through your deck, find what you need in any given situation. Demetrios also generates more value. He adds a final draft to your hand at the start of your turn. Upgrade a final draft. So the first final draft is deal 1 damage, draw 1 card. If that's all you get out of this, you spend 2 mana and you gain a spell, and then your opponent might play a 2 mana God Power to kill this. And you've ultimately both spent 2 mana, but you also gain a final draft, so even that isn't that bad. And if they don't kill it immediately, every single turn this then ups to deal 2 damage, draw 2 cards for 2 mana, and then it's a 3 mana, deal 3, draw 3, then a 4 mana, deal 4, draw 4, and then finally a 5 mana, deal 5, draw 5. I typically like to play this around 3 mana. If you're drawing 5 cards with this, oftentimes your hand is just going to be so full because you have so much card draw. So don't let it spiral too far out of control. But even if you're getting 1 or 2 or 3, that is still phenomenal value. We also have some Spell Boost in here. Spell Boost +1. This pairs very nicely with things like Defend the Ramparts, which deals 2 to 2 different enemy creatures. Or if you have a structure, 3 instead. And if you have the Spell Boost, you could do 4 to 2 different creatures for 3 mana, which is insane. Assistant Alchemist is just an incredible card. It's basically a 0 mana 2/2. You can select a card that costs no more than your total unlocked mana gems and reduce its cost by 1. That means on turn 1, without using a bag at all, You can play Assistant Alchemist, select any of your other 1-drops, namely especially the Shadow Scryer. You could set this to 0 and play this as well. So without even using your bag on turn 1, you can play a Shadow Scryer and an Assistant Alchemist. So things that we want to look for in the mulligan are Palace's Wand. Definitely, this card is so good if you can equip it turn 1, and then it just spirals out of control from there. The Assistant Alchemists are huge in the mulligan. If you can get these, you can drop multiple things on turn 1. Pyramid Wardens are great as well. Demetrios is very nice against most gods. Some god powers kind of eat this up a little bit too much for my liking. However, like we said before, even if your opponent has to spend 2 to deal with your 2-mana creature, you still end up with a final draft, so it's not even that bad. And he's another card that demands answers immediately. The Shadow Scryers are unbelievable. If you can get these out, you can get 2 of them on turn 1, for instance. And then basically you just want to use your spells very efficiently and take out all of your opponent's creatures constantly, keep their board clear, and then just start doing face damage. And you'll have so many cards in your hand that you'll be able to continuously just clear their board, keep building your board, keep doing face damage, and then finish them off with burst damage from Worm Breath and Monolith. Let's dive in and take a look at a few games. Okay, we're going first. I love the Shadow Scryer. Street Conjure is okay. Ancient Text is okay. But he get a little greedy. Demetrios is nice, even though he has a god power that can kill him. If we can get both of these out.
Let's see how many ways
This is the combo I was looking for.
Good luck.
So here we could either just reduce the cost of Demetrios and play these 2, or just play these 2 for 1 mana. Let's just play these 2 for now. It's a very strong first turn. Vow of Learning is very flexible. We do have 2 removal spells. We're probably going to kill this with the Star Shard Bolt. That'll leave us with 1. It's possible we Ancient Texts this, actually, and trade. What this will allow is for us to bag out Demetrios. And it's now impossible for him to just God Power here. If he God Powers, he loses the game. If he misses, even if he hits, it's still very slow. I've already got a spell for it. I'm happy. Alright, that definitely needs to go immediately. This can give so much value if you don't deal with it turn 1.
This looks promising.
Love Shadow Scryers. Don't know if we need second one. Yeah, let's keep it. I love the Warden protected against nature and its random spells.
It's the circle of life.
Probably want to use this next turn. Final draft. Well, there you go. Final draft gets weird once it gets too expensive.
My turn.
A 5 mana, draw 5. Defend the ramparts. Let's get rid of it. We don't have a structure. I think we trade final draft, face. But let's see what final draft does first, because we draw 2 cards here. Wow. Okay. Get more ward and protected out here. Do have to be aware of the Volka's Discovery.
This I did not foresee.
You kill a moose with 4 mana, he spends 5 mana. It's a nice trade for us. And then we just gain 12 favor. He buys the archer, he can deal with this.
Promising.
Starshard Bolt is nice. Let's keep Starshard Bolt. So we're going to have 1 extra mana after we Worm Breath. So let's go ahead and drop the Improviser.
I can't say I'm surprised.
And we spent 15 favor, but then we just gained 15 favor. Between these 12 here, plus the Worm Breath. So, with this deck, you're not only drawing cards, not only foreseeing and cycling cards, you can gain a lot of favor. Gain card advantage that way as well. We never want to leave this alive. He just got some random card that we have no idea what it is. He picks up Volka's Discovery. Leaves us with the Lambasting Wand. Getting Oni next turn after he board wipes. I'd rather have some face damage here. We definitely need to kill this. So let's do this. And he can also bag into the hunt next turn. So let's just get a ton of health on board. I think we make trade here as well. This one didn't have ward. It had 1 health, would have died to Volka. And he doesn't have favor, so we don't have to buy anything yet. But we're definitely eyeballing this Lambasting Wand.
The audacity.
So we do 9 damage next turn, plus the Worm Breath. It's 14. Though we'll probably equip this instead of God Power. He set everything to 20, but that actually just hurts him. I have way more favor than he does. We definitely don't want Pyramid Warden at this point. Monolith is good. I don't think we're going to need it at all, but... I mean, now we do have the option to take out his giant creature as well, but... I think we're so far ahead, we can just go ahead and Worm Breath the face for 7, actually. Pretty close to lethal here. Alright, we don't need Miraculous yet. Don't need Worm Breath yet. Let's get rid of Defend the Ramparts.
Let's see how many ways you can disappoint me. Best of
Gonna bang out the Pyramid Warden. And then we've got Voldemort turn 2. Or if we find another 1-drop.
This looks promising.
he's going to get back the Wicked Warrior.
Must be respected.
If we just leave this alone, he can't sack it next turn and get this back, which would be really annoying. So I think we just keep building up here.
Let's see how this plays out.
We got a pretty wide board. I'm going to get rid of the All-Seeing Spire.
A wandering mind treads a dangerous path.
So this is just too nice of a clear. It's likely he gets one of these back, but... let's just throw down the Wicked Trapper. Maybe he could play a Naked Carnage sweep, but...
My followers bow to none.
only kills 2 things. I'd like some direct damage at this point, like a Worm Breath, just to finish him off. Yeah, we can literally clear his whole board here. Draws us another card as well. GG's. That's going to do it for this one. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you next time.